Ladies and gentlemen, I'd planned to speak to you tonight to report on the State of the Union. But the events of earlier today have led me to change those plans. Today is a day for mourning and remembering.
It was January of 1986, and I was finishing up my bachelor's degree at the University of Toledo. And I was in the College of Education, and there was a lot of talk from my professors and among all of us about everything that was going on in aerospace and with the space shuttles. It was a big deal. And the Challenger was special because 2 women were going into space, 2 astronaut women among about 7 or 8 on that particular voyage. And this one woman stood out, Christa McAuliffe, because she was a school teacher and I was in the College of Education, and we were all talking about her. She just represented something that was out in the front for all of us. And so we were very tuned into it.
I would like to humanize the space age by giving a perspective from a non-astronaut, because I think the students will look at that and say, this is an ordinary person. This ordinary person is contributing to history, and if they can make that connection, then they're going to get excited about history, they're going to get excited about the future, they're going to get excited about space.
I was driving home from class on this night. It was winter time, about 5 o'clock in the evening. I remember exactly where I was driving down the road. I remember being in my car. I can remember what I had on, what the weather was like outside. And it came across on the news that the space shuttle, the Challenger, had exploded just moments after liftoff, and all of the crew members perished. And they came down in 1,000 pieces, tumbling into the ocean in a fiery wreck. And I remember at the time thinking, wow, we were putting so much on this. We were so behind that crew, and especially Christa McAuliffe, that young school teacher. She was making history. And it was, I pulled my car off to the side of the road. It hit me so hard. I remember going home that night. I was still living with my parents. I wasn't married yet. And talking about that with them and hearing about it on the news, on the television, and talking about it in class the next day. And perhaps it was the next day or the following day afterwards, Ronald Reagan was the president, and he came across and did a national broadcast, and he talked about that disaster, and he gave an incredibly stirring speech when he talked about how that crew perished and how they had touched the face of God. And it was almost as though America came together after that disaster, so much like the bombing of the Trade Center in 2001 and that terrible disaster. Americans just united, and we felt a common bond, and prayer was spoken of, and people were searching, and people felt close. The space shuttle, the Challenger, and its terrible demise. Remember right where I was when it happened, and the impact it had on me as becoming a young school teacher. It was almost as if I was given a new burst of energy as I wrapped up that degree to become a school teacher, to pick up where Christa McAuliffe had left off. I'll never forget it.
Nancy and I are pained to the core by the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country. This is truly a national loss. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them this morning. as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye and slipped the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave.